Yeah, this is Code Red, aka Kemet. My new name, Kemet. Um, I just wanted to talk about, sort of the state of hip hop, really and truthfully. A lot of people say that there is no state, that the hip hop's not really dead. I mean, it's kind of debatable, you know, and I think for the people who say that it's dead, it's really truthfully they're talking about the nostalgic sense of the truth of hip hop and the state that it once was. You know what I mean? Because like back in the days when I was growing up and I was listening to hip hop, it was kind of like a new phenomenon. I didn't really understand it, in the early 80s, because I was kind of young, you know what I mean, in the end, because I was born in the sort of mid 70s, you know what I mean, 1976 I was born, you know what I mean. It's probably when, hip hop, you know what I mean, I'm not 100% on the dates, you know what I mean, maybe not accurate on the dates of when hip hop started, but I know it started in the late 70s, early 80s. And I remember listening to, I mean, my first recollection of any rap was Salt and Pepper. You know what I mean? Man might crucify me for that, but that's what I heard back in the days. I didn't have no control over what I was listening to, So Salt and Pepper was something and they were kind of good. It was a new sound for me. That's how I heard rap. You know what I mean? And living in the UK wasn't something like, really back then, it wasn't really a popular thing for the UK artists. I heard some of the UK artists probably later on in my life, when I reached like my 20s and I started getting more involved, and looking at, what hip hop was. But, going on onto the state of hip hop, whenever we heard something that came out on the radio, it was nice to the ear. You really wanted to hear what what the artist was saying. It kind of made you feel like, yo, this is hot, man. I like what they're talking about. As a younger cat, though, sort of growing up and listening to hip hop, you're just really listening to it for the tracks. You know what I mean? Not really for the understanding of the meaning of what the artist is really saying. And like you got these days, on the American side, yeah, you got like, you got hip hop artists like, for me, not too keen on, you know what I mean? Just like, I ain't really understand what man are talking about really and truthfully. You got the likes of Lil Wayne. I have to put him to the top of the list and discuss Lil Wayne, you know what I mean? Because man like him, you know what I mean, just go into the studio, bust a freestyle and then sell a record, but man's just talking shit. You know what I mean? He ain't talking about anything about lifting the next man up. You know what I mean? He's just talking shit and selling records. You know what I mean? Making fucking money. You know what I mean? What is that? You know what I mean? Does that relate to the roots of hip hop? No, it doesn't. You know what I mean? My kids are growing up and listening to that fucking shit. You know what I mean? My youths are growing up listening to the message that you have to portray, for sure. Yeah, you could turn around and say that, it's up to the parents to sort of, to sort of categorize, what their children listen to. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, with a lot of file sharing and, Android mobile phones, little handheld computers, they can share music easily. As parents, you can't always keep an eye on your child. You can't cotton wool them up. They're gonna have to learn about reality sometime sooner or later. You know what I mean? So they have a choice. But what I'm saying is that it's in the face of these people. I mean, yeah, growing up, I used to listen to NWA. A lot of people could turn around and say, well, them man are gangsters and so forth. But really, when you read in between the lines, they were, 4 or 5, youths, you know what I mean, growing up off the street, they, they needed something to do, you know what I mean? So they vented their their troubles and their worries through music and told the whole world about their stories and how it was for them. You know what I mean? So, like, you know, later on for me, it was like I wanted to, you know, to do the same thing. But getting back to the point, Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, Soulja Boy, you know what I mean? I could probably name a few, you know what I mean? But to me, the names are kind of forgettable because I don't really want to hear that. You know what I mean? Like, I tell you what I grew up listening to. Yeah, I used to listen to Wu-Tang Clan. What could I say? You know what I mean? Them man are crazy with their lyrics, you know what I mean? Make me want to go back in the lab and write some shit. You know what I mean? Nas. Dude's deep, man. Serious. You know what I mean? The guy's deep. You know what I mean? Dead Prez. You know what I mean? What can I say? You know what I mean? Them man had some bars. You know what I mean? More recently, you know, that I've sort of gotten to know on the underground scene, a friend of mine, Chris, you know what I mean, aka Conflict, introduced me to a guy called R.A. Rugged, man. You know what I mean? The guy sounds ill. You know what I mean? These are man where you know, they put their rhymes together. They're crazy with their rhymes. They make you think about, you know, the way that you put your stuff together, and it's like they're on a different plateau. You know what I mean? Now, I do write for a living, and, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, that I'm the best writer in the world, you know what I mean? But I enjoy writing because I write about my own stories, you know what I mean? And I do my own thing. But what I'm kind of interested in is this thing when they say, you got a lot of people saying that hip-hop is dead, and then you got a lot of people saying that hip-hop is not dead, and they all kind of attribute that to Nas's album, Hip Hop Is Dead. And now I know this came out a while ago, and, you know, why I'm discussing that now is because it's still the same thing. You know, people are still saying that hip hop is dead. But really, truthfully, hip hop is dead for those on the commercial side. When they're looking at the commercial industry, now we have, you know, technology like, you know, the internet. You can look on the internet, you can type in a name, you know what I mean? You can look for, you know, you can really search for artists, you know what I mean, or not. And most of the time, you know, you're probably sifting through a lot of crap, you know what I mean, to get to the real ones, you know what I mean. But it's still worth sort of, you know, going through it. Just, you know, just imagine it as like a digital library. You know what I mean? You're going to come across books that you don't like, you know what I mean? And then you're going to come across books that you find interesting, you know what I mean? It's kind of like that, you know what I mean? But music, you know, hip-hop music, should I say, you know, is really interesting, and the way that people sort of look at it these days, you know. What can I say? You know what I mean? Like, you know, I grew up listening to a lot of really good hip-hop artists. I never really listened to, you know, any of the UK artists. I do remember one sort of like UK artist that sort of like, you know, that I used to listen to back in the day, and that was Black Samurai. You know what I mean? Them man sound good. I think they were from like Manchester or Birmingham, you know, or whatever. But they had some lyrics, man. Seriously, them man have got some lyrics. So, you know, they were sort of worth listening to. I don't know if they're doing anything now. I don't think so, you know what I mean, because I haven't heard anything from them for a while, you know. But, you know, getting back to the subject yet again, you know, you've got these artists that are making big money, and they're just spitting any old shit I can't relate to. You know what I mean? I don't have no big car, you know, I don't have diamonds on my wrist, you know what I mean? This is reality, you know what I mean? And this ain't about me getting up and doing my grind or anything like that. Trust me, man, you know what I mean? You gotta walk in my shoes, man, to feel how I feel and do how I do, you know what I mean? But this, yeah, you know, this, we talk about the legacy of hip-hop. We talk about what it means to us, you know? And it means quite a lot to some of us who grew up sort of, you know, listening to these new artists compared to what they're coming out with. It's like, you know, most of the time, most of the beats that they put out now, I don't even really feel. You You know what I mean? I really, what's this artist? What's his name? Drake? I don't feel his rhymes, man. I don't feel his beats, but people, you know, people love that. That's cool. You know what I mean? That's one of the reasons, like, an artist like me would turn around and say hip hop is dead. You know what I mean? Because these, you know, these artists are the ones that are coming through, and, you know, good luck to them. They, you know, they on the grind, they're doing their thing. You know what I mean? No, you know, I don't have no issue with it. But when it's being portrayed more than the real artists, the artists out here that've got something truly to say, you know what I mean? Something that could change our lives and that, compared to those man out there, they don't have a patch as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I probably bought, last couple of years, I've probably bought about 3 albums maybe. One of them being Nas and Damian Marley's Distant Relatives. Yo, that was a sick album. Trust me, you know what I mean? That was a hot album for real. You know what I mean? You're talking about what was the other album? Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links Part 2. Sick album. Do you know what I mean? Nas again with the album of Life Is Good. You know what I mean? Took me a while to get into it, but I finally understood where he was coming from. You know what I mean? But it took me a while. Didn't think it was his greatest album, obviously. You know what I mean? But you know, it's Nas. You know what I mean? You know, doing some really hot albums. As far as the UK scene, what can I say, man? You know, with the UK scene, you know, there's a couple of artists that kind of, you know, come to mind. Low Key, you know what I mean? Guy's definitely on the grind, man. You know, and his choice to sort of walk away from the public and, you know, do his own thing. He wants to live his life. I can respect that. That's, you know what I mean? That's, you know, that to me, like, you know, he just wants, you know, he wants to go out and he wants to, you know, maybe study a little bit more of life or whatever, but he needs to do it on his own. You know what I mean? And I'm sure his you know, his real hardcore fans will understand that, you know. What's his name? Plan B, man. Plan B sounds alright, man. I like the Ill Manners. You know what I mean? The Ill Manners is nice. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I'm not really feeling, you know, anyone else unless they've posted something on Facebook, you know, on the Hip Hop Generation page on Facebook. You know what I mean? But otherwise, you know what? Hip hop is more stinging over here in the UK than it is over in the US right about now. There's some artists coming out, yeah, that are just destroying some of these artists. I mean, it's taking some of the older artists, yeah, from the US really to make some sort of comeback, yeah, to sort of bring the genre back to its heights. You know what I mean? Like Wu Block, for instance. I haven't heard the whole album of Wu Block, but what I've heard of it, man, the album sounds ill, man. Trust me, it sounds ill. You know what I mean? And obviously, Sons of Liberty, us, man, you know what I mean? We're doing something. We've got an Invisible album we've been working on for the last 3 years. You know, very technical stuff that we sort of working on, you know what I mean? And, you know, our producer's been, you know, fantastic through that, you know what I mean? And, you know, we've sort of grown. Each and every one of us have grown as well, you know what I mean? Sanzi, you know what I mean, Chris, you know what I mean, we get in there, you know, we doing our own thing, you know what I mean, but we're more influenced off the artists that have something significant to say, you know what I mean, it's easy to jump around, you know what I mean, with a bottle of liquor in your hand, you know what I mean, and shout bitch, nigger, and all them kind of way there, you know what I mean, but for me, that's not what I want to be teaching my son or my daughter. My son's getting into hip hop, and I feel that the history of hip hop, you know, is more important now than what it was back then. You know what I mean? Or it shouldn't be as more important, but it's more relevant. See, kids growing up today, they don't even know the difference between hip hop and rap. They don't know about the 4 elements. They don't know the history of hip hop, where it came from, what it was really about. You know what I mean? There's plenty of documentaries that you can get online. You know what I mean? I study hard. You know what I mean? I look at these documentaries. I mean, before I, you know, teach, you know, somebody how to you know, to write their bars. You know what I mean? I make sure that I'm clued up first. You know what I mean? Because, you know, they're going to come and ask me questions. You know what I mean? When they question me and I can't answer, they're going to look at me like, who am I to show them anything? You know? So I've got to clue myself up. So I know these things. It's like when my son comes to me and he asks me a question, I know exactly how to deal with him. I know what to look. I know what to look for. I know what he can look for, what he can do, what his capability is. See, that's one thing. That's what I'm saying. Music, or the way hip hop music is, you know, the way that it teaches is, they have some sort of, you know, there's got to be some sort of moral ground, I think, and I think the industry is just being watered down. You know what I mean? We're becoming Neanderthal, like, if you will. You know what I mean? We're reversing. You know what I mean? We're not doing much studies. You know what I mean? We trust me. It's not something that, you know what I mean, that really, you know, we can sort of go back to and say, yeah, listen, you know what? Right, let me look at this history of hip hop now. Well, we've got a period of time where hip hop's not great. We're disrespecting women more and more. You know what I mean? You've got women dressing around in their panties during the day. Like, my daughter sits there and watch TV. You know what I mean? The likes of Nicki Minaj and even Beyonce. You know what I mean? Running around in their pants. You know what I mean? My daughter's growing up. If I seen her running around like that, man, I'd give you 2 clips in her head. You know what I mean? I want my daughter running around like that for man to go look at. You know what I mean? Like she's just an ornament. And any man that has a daughter would know this. You know what I mean? For real. So it's like the image that these artists are putting out there. You know what I mean? They're not understanding the consequences of these images. They're not understanding the consequences of how lazy they are, yeah, when they sit and put rhymes. And I know mans over here in the UK, for real, yeah, who sit and study. You know what I mean? Man are reading books like Malcolm X, you know what I mean, and Martin Luther King. You know, man have studied. Man have got the flipping Bible out, the scriptures, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? Man have got, what do you call it, the dictionary. Man are reading the dictionary, coming up with new words and concepts, really playing with the words. And you got man like Lil Wayne. Come on, man, please behave yourself, man. He's the best in hip hop after Jay-Z. Stop it, man. Come on, man. You know what I mean? My foot can rap better than he can. You know what I mean? Who's the dude, man? Serious. You know what I mean? My man needs to spend a little bit of time in his fucking pad, yeah, right, and learn about fucking history to rascal. You know what I mean? My man needs to learn about him fucking self. You know what I mean? Before he starts dancing, prancing around on the TV. Man's making money like that when there's plenty of people out over the road, yeah, overseas, starving. You know what I mean? And my man's prancing around doing what? State of hip hop, man. Serious. You know what I mean? That's probably one of the reasons why I'm screwing. But I'm showing that, you know, it's easy, yeah, for man to get on the mic and just diss the next man and not understand what he's getting himself into. I just think that the history of hip hop, you know what I mean, really needs to be, you know, at the forefront of things. We get into this hip hop legacy, and you know, some of the kids growing up, they don't know what they're getting into. You know what I mean? And then there's the whole controversy about, you know, this black and white issue that nobody wants to talk about. You know what I mean? We see the uprising of, you know, I'm not being racist, trust me, you know what I mean? I've got quite a lot of, you know, friends, you know what I mean, Caucasian friends, to be politically correct, you know. But to be myself, I say the majority of my white friends, you know what I mean, they're cool with me, you know what I mean, the rest doesn't come into it. But what I will say is that I do have a few black friends, or hip hop is a black thing, man. You know what I mean? It should stay black. It should stay in the ghetto. It's not a white man's thing. You know what I mean? That's how they talk over here. Trust me. You know what I mean? But it's like, oh, you a sellout, man. Why are you teaching these white man things? What are you on about sellout? Listen, I'm teaching whoever, you know, wants to come to me and who wants to learn. You know what I mean? Like I said, I ain't the best teacher on the planet. You know what I mean? But the thing is, what I want to do is I want to keep in tradition. See, knowing the history of hip hop and what it means to those youths back then when they started off, and it wasn't even hip hop. You know what I mean? But when they started, it was really about, you know, it was really about getting out of the ghetto. You know what I mean? It was about something that belonged to them. And I think that, you know, some of these black guys over here, you know, they feel like they own it, you know what I mean? Especially after our history, after what our ancestors kind of suffered, you know, we want to have something that sort of belongs to us, you know what I mean? That's, you know, that's natural in thinking. But now, yeah, it's a worldwide phenomena, you know what I mean? Anyone should be allowed, you know what I mean, to be able to participate into something that's great, you know what I mean? It's a fantastic thing to be able to write like that, you know what I mean? And to have some sort of depth to the writing as well. When you listen to your own voice back, you know, that you've played on a track and you hear yourself, you know what I mean? It's almost like you're listening to your own soul. Imagine that. You know what I mean? That's the power of hip hop for you. That's the power of rap for you. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying more than anything else is that, you know, when you're getting into something, know what it's about. Don't turn out like these Nicki Minaj people or these Little Waynes. You know what I mean? Don't turn out like them. You know what I mean? Look at the greats. You know what I mean? They're a template for what this genre is truly about. You know what I mean? This is about stepping up. This is about telling a story. You know what I mean? Telling a real story. You have the chance to do that. You know what I mean? But anyway, I just wanted to do this video and just show you that, you know what I mean, my kind of thoughts on hip hop. I mean, I've got more, you know, coming. But this is just a random video, just me grabbing my phone, chatting some bullshit about hip hop. Whether people agree or disagree, that's up to them. You know, I don't really care. You know what I mean? I know what I'm on. You know what I mean? If you disagree, you disagree. If you agree, that's fine. Come talk to me. You know what I mean? But anyway, peace. I'm out. Kemet Nubia. Yeah.